Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. We are taking another run at Clan Boss. I'm going to be using the same team I just showcased in this video here right now. It's a Ruella and Elva team, but I'm going to be bringing in Michinaki, who I actually showcased in this video, to be in this team and run it with them. Now, why am I doing this? I've already shown Michinaki and Clan Boss. I've already shown this Clan Boss team. Well, the reason why is because I think there's an interesting synergy going on here. Michinaki has an ability to get an ally attack. Every time there's a hex on the enemy and an ally attacks that enemy, he has a 50% chance to also attack. That's a really high amount. Well, this ability, this bonus damage that he gets, is only going to be accentuated, exacerbated, one might say, if there's more attacks happening. So because this team is actually going at a 2-1 ratio, and several of the champions are actually going at a 3-1 ratio, he's going to get a lot of opportunities to get some ally attacks in. So I'm actually really excited about this. If this turns out right, he should be getting about 6 attacks per turn. Which, yeah, that's insane amount of attacks. So I'm really excited to see if this works, see how well it works, I guess would be a better way of phrasing it. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. So we're going to take a look at Michinaki so you get an idea of how I built him. Now, I have shown this team already, so I'm not going to go into the details of all the champions. If you want to see them, just go back to that previous video that I showcased using the same squad. But yeah, let's jump in.
I really appreciate you coming by to watch this video, and if you enjoy it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. And of course, if you enjoyed today's music, we have that Soundstripe link down below in the pinned comment description of this video, along with my code Deadwood Jedi to save yourself 15%. And of course, if you're looking for account work, you can find that on my website, deadwoodjedi.com.
So like I said, this is the team that we're going to be using here. Now, Michinaki is an amazing champion, absolutely amazing, but there are going to be some limitations when bringing him into an unkillable team. Remember, this is a defensive-based champion, and he's going to be great for Hydra, for Clan Boss, especially traditional teams where you need your champion to survive. Defensive base, so you build his defense up, he's only going to hit harder. That's a great champion for that. When you can move him into an unkillable team, what ends up happening is most of those unkillable teams are designed for attack-based champions. You usually have an attack up buff on your team, whether we're talking about an Underpriest Brogni, or we're talking about a Seeker, or even somebody like an Arbiter. Those are going to help your attack-based champions do more damage. Well, we don't have an attack-based DPSer in here, right? That's not Michinaki. So we don't have an increased defense buff on this team either. And if we did, that would be better for us. I mean, just fundamentally, that would be a lot better for us because increased defense obviously would help him hit a lot harder. We don't have that. So his damage numbers probably are not going to be as high as in the previous video I showcased him in, and not as high as they possibly could be. But because he gets so many attacks, I'm really hopeful that he's still going to do stupid good damage for us. That's the goal. Anyway, we're going to see how it works. I don't really know, but we'll get a chance to see it. And I think this is going to showcase one of two things, right? Either Michinaki is one of the best DPS champions, period, for any Clan Boss team, or he's still one of the best, but has some limitations to it, right? And there's still probably going to be some champions you might want to choose otherwise. Now, as far as how I built him, right, we got 6,000 defense, 155 speed, 318 crit damage, 250 accuracy to land his Hex debuff. We're slotting him in just like we would any of the other DPSs for this team, and I think he's going to do pretty good. So let's jump in. We'll see how it does, and then I'll obviously show his stats at the very end. All right, as we jump in here, you're going to see everybody kind of do their thing. It's pretty much full auto for this first turn, and then the second turn I have to use Elva's A1 to start off, and after that point it's full auto. Now, as far as like the setup of this, I gave Michinaki like a 1-turn delay with his Hex ability, right? So we should be putting it up after on this turn right here. Just need to get that A1 from Elva. Now we can go full auto, and we should be able to see him get the Hex out and, you know, get lots of extra damage, and that's kind of the goal. So there you go. The Hex is up. Right, we're affinity friendly now. The team's gonna run great, and at this point, Michinaki should be getting a fair amount of extra attacks in, and that's always awesome because all of a sudden you're getting a lot of extra damage. That was 1 extra attack right there. That's another extra attack right there, and then he goes again. That's 3 attacks so far on this turn. We're not even in the 2-1 ratio yet, so we're not even taking all the turns we can take. So ideally, he should be taking about 6 attacks per turn, 2 of his own, plus 4 additional ones from the 8 extra actual attacks coming from his allies. Now, we have Ruella in here, we have Elva in here. They both have one skill out of their 3-turn cooldown that is not an actual attack skill. So it's not going to be the full time, right? So we're not going to get, you know, what is it, 5 extra attacks, I guess it would, or 6 extra attacks. We'll get 5 though. So it should be pretty good. I'm really excited to actually see what we can do out of this. He has that HP burn on the A1. He brings another decreased defense, so we don't have to worry about Ruella dropping that debuff, and he has that Hex, obviously, which is really important. That should stay up for the majority of the fight as well, which is going to be really good. So you can see, I mean, that was 183,000 damage, 188,000 damage, 174,000 damage. The guy's slapping, and slapping hard. So I'm actually really interested to see how good of a job he does in this team. Now, this is Void. You know, Affinity will obviously have an impact, right? You know, strong Affinity or weak Affinity, and Void's a good basis to get us kind of an idea of how this is going to work. If you go against weak Affinity, the chance of him landing that Hex is going to be dropped, right? About 30% of the time, he's going to weak hit and just not land that debuff, which is always an issue. So if that happens, your damage is obviously going to drop a lot, but even then, he's still an extremely strong hitter and still going to get a lot of extra attacks for whenever it does end up landing. And of course, you can always bring in somebody else to put that up for you, and then you don't have to worry about it. Somebody like Thalesia might be a great addition to a team with him. She puts up Hex and she'll extend the duration of your debuffs. It's a really nice kind of way to do that, I would think, anyway. But anyway, let's go ahead and watch this run. We'll see what Michinaki can do. I'm really interested to see the end damage numbers. Obviously, each of his individual hits are pretty strong, and it is kind of fun to kind of see how many extra attacks does he get. That was 1, right? Hopefully he gets another one here. That's 2. I love it. We see that passive Curse of Curses comes up. That's 3. That's his actual attack right there. We get the buffs up. All those are going right. And yeah, a lot of non-attack skills here. That's another one. That's 4 attacks in 1 turn, right? Didn't get another one there. That's 5 attacks right there. Then plus his own, which is 6. That's a lot. That's a lot of attacks in 1 turn for 1 champion, especially when that hits as hard as he does. So you can see the benefits of this guy, what he can potentially do for your team. So we'll jump towards the end, let it run a little bit so you can kind of see some of this happen, and then we'll see what his numbers are at the very end of it. pretty solid. 103 million damage overall. It's not the same level as we did with Draco, and it's not the same level that we did with Ninja, but considering we don't even have an increased defense buff, that's pretty great. He still put up 43 million damage. Michinaki is insanely good. Insanely good, folks. I think it's pretty safe to say this is one of the top damage dealers for clan boss right now. In fact, I think there's a very strong argument to say he's the best clan boss champion in this game at the moment. And why would I say that? Not only does he bring the damage, obviously, but he also brings a lot of utility with that decreased defense, decreased accuracy, and HP burn. So it doesn't matter what style team you're running, this is a guy that's going to be very useful for your squad. Insanely, insanely good. I was actually really happy with that result. It's pretty wild. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a peek at Michinaki's stats. Obviously, the rest of the team you can see in the previous video. I don't want to waste too much of your time. But he's got, 6,100 defense, which is a very solid number. I would say for anybody, you're trying to be a defensive damage dealer, it's a really solid number. He's got a really nice base of over 1,400, which makes him pretty easy to gear up strong. He's got 155 speed. Obviously, that's what we need. His base of 101 is pretty solid as well. Only the 73% crit rate because we do have that permanent crit rate buff, thanks to Ruella, and then 318 crit damage. I feel like I might have gone a little bit overboard. I might have gone a little bit overboard with that, but what the heck? I'm on the test server. Let's try it, right? And then 255 accuracy, obviously. As far as like his masters and stuff, there's nothing special going on with any of that. We're just going down the support tree and the offensive tree. The support tree to make sure that we land that hex and hopefully can extend it as well is kind of the goal there with that. So I mean, he's a pretty awesome guy. Did have one mixed set in there, but 2 crit damage sets. It's pretty good. He's a pretty well built champion. I'm in love. This is my new most wanted champion in this game. So what did we learn? Well, obviously for an unkillable team, Michinaki is one of the best champions, but he's not going to be the best, and mainly because he's not an attack-based champion. There's not a lot of unkillable teams that have increased defense buffs involved within it. Now, if you do have a team like that, I think Michinaki becomes the #1 damage dealing champion in all of Clan Boss, at least with the Demon Lord, because his utility is great. The amount of attacks that he gets are insane, and if you can give him an increased defense buff, the damage he does will be insane as well. And that's one of the things that I really look forward to being able to utilize him with. Now, obviously, this version of him is a bit juiced, right? We have an extra 30% crit rate. You don't get that very often. On top of that, his speed was super slow, which you don't always get to do. So I was really able to stack the damage numbers on him. But it doesn't matter. We have comparisons now of how to utilize him. And it's all about how he works in comparison to somebody else, right? So we had Draco putting up 50 million. We have Ninja putting up about 50 million. And we have Michinaki putting up about 43 million. It's a pretty good balance right there, right? Like, that's pretty much on par, especially considering he didn't get an increased defense buff. I think that's actually starts to skew things in his favor. Personally, that's how I feel about it. And obviously the fact that you can utilize him in a traditional team just takes him to a whole nother level. So this is going to be an insane champion. I highly recommend, if you guys can get him, to build him and utilize him. He probably will have, if you can see how effective he is against the Demon Lord clan boss, you can imagine how effective he's going to be against the Hydra clan boss. And I would say he's probably going to be a better usage there. Just because, that's such a hard place to actually get results in, and he's going to be insanely good at it. I would probably recommend building him for Hydra. But if you're struggling on Hydra, or that's not your main focus right now, Michinaki is 100% an awesome champion to bring in regular clan boss. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to go check out those other ones if you are interested in how we got to this point. And subscribe, notification bell, so you don't miss videos like this one that I think are pretty cool. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for sticking around. Until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.